Namaste, beloveds. This is Motherhood Wisdom, aka Valerie Ames Middlebrook, and I am doing another video. And this video is entitled Removing the Whitewashed Lies of His Story, Brick by Brick, until there's nothing left but the truth. And, beloveds, this video is prompted by so much that is going on right now in our current his story narrative, that we are becoming more and more consciously aware and awakening to what's going on with the systems, with the processes, with the programs that are leading, guiding, and creating a way for us to better sustain our existence. And we're beginning to notice that the system itself is very, very flawed, and it's very, very fractured by the different fragmented sects, cults, beliefs, traditions, of the systems that are working within the systems. And these are the wheels within the wheels that Spirit is saying that we need to be observing more than just letting them observe us. I wrote down some things that I'm going to share with you that are very much on point with this topic. This topic is coming after the Roe versus Wade pronouncement from the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And that has to do with the governance of choice of a woman's body. They want to label it abortion rights, but it is indeed the right of a woman to consider her own personal physical health, emotional health, psychological health, spiritual health. It's her choice, it's her body. And we have so many things that happen to the feminine awareness of herself. So many different things that already silence her, push her down, erase and scrub her awareness of her natural self out of her conscious understanding of her very nature, because that is being dictated to her. What a lady should be, what a woman should be, what she should look like, how she should act in private and in society, what her career should be. She's paid less than a man, even though she's doing the same thing that a man is doing, based solely on her gender. The original foundation was not built upon these patriarchal systems of tradition. The original systems, traditions, solutions that had been arrived at and that were guiding showed that it is mother's nature, her natural cycles and seasons of change that need to guide the that need to be the guiding principles of conscious thought and conscious awareness in moving forward for the next generations, as it is her cycle and season and nature to be instinctual and intuitive when to move and how to guide certain unseen frequencies, because she was aware of them naturally, internally, by design. um okay, I'm just going to keep going forward with that. And I posted some things on Facebook today because there's a lot of, as an empath, I'm picking up so much. But as a maturing vessel of the divine feminine, I'm also maintaining my peace and observing from that space everything that is taking place, everything that is flowing, everything that is breaking down, just like in that womb cycle, that period cycle that has to cleanse and clear itself in order to make ready for the next phase of the moon cycle. It holds on to nothing. It understands that cells multiply, they're born, they die, they are reborn. This is the process and procedure of existence. There is no one period that is greater than another. And each period, a woman will tell you, each period is different. Whoa. this side, this left side, beloveds, it's doing its own thing right now. So I'm just going to let it do its own thing. That gray wants to be seen up under this wig. It's like, okay. This is a very deep subject, beloveds. This is a very deep subject. A lot of this, I'm going to put it like this. A lot of blood has already been shed. The earth is teeming with the blood that has been shed concerning this very subject. This is not a new subject. It is not. It is one of control. It is one of elimination of voice. It is one of subjectification through an objectification process that has been allowed to reign and continue from generation to generation to generation until now, where I want you to understand, whew, like I said, understand the sides, beloved. Understand the sides. Understand what the sides are saying in public and out loud that they represent. And then from the polarity, understand what is not being said that they represent. Understand that there is nothing new under the sun. So these representations, these words, these thoughts, these feelings, these decisions that are being made by a ruling majority, understand what that Supreme Court represents. It represents elected officials put in place to judge. If you want to understand the precept, the principles, the guiding principles of this court that is able to grant these kind of judgments, then you go back to, because this is a Christian system, you go back to the Bible. Okay? You go back to the judges within the Bible. Those that were considered judges during the times that they were considered judges. And understand, the judges were also high priests, priestesses, prophets, and prophetesses. Okay? These were the ones who were put in positions to judge because they had a higher spiritual conscious awareness. Oh, this left eye. I want to go to one specific judge that is coming up in my essence, in my memory. And that is Deborah, female, divine female, a judge of her time. I want you, in your research, in your seeking for the truth, in your seeking of self-knowledge, to look into who Deborah was, why she was appointed a judge over men, and what was going on during the time period where she was judge, and what happened when she was no longer judge. What changed within that realm of spiritual knowledge, spiritual expanding, conscious awareness? What changed from a historical point of view within the world. They say, look at her as one sphere, one wheel. Look at the Romans as another wheel. Look at the Greeks as another wheel. Look at the Latin as another wheel. Look at the Africans as another wheel, the Nubians, the Ethiopians, as they were called. Look at these beings. Look at the Asiatic dynasties and kingdoms that were in play. Look at all of these things, beloveds. When it comes to Nicene 14 and this global meeting that happened among men, and their declarations of what the place of a woman should be, based upon Mary giving birth to a Messiah. Understand, when you can traumatize a woman, when you can take and twist her into so much suffering that her spirit is broken, it is hard for a Messiah to come from that. Because the identity is one that is transferred. Just like a lion gives birth, a lioness gives birth to a lion. That awareness, the hunting skills, the instinct, even the savagery comes from the mother. She's the hunter. That which is the softest and the sweetest, baby, just as the ancestors said, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. Without a blink of an eye, baby. That is what they want to control. That is what has to be kept down. That is the spirit that must be broken. That is what must be collared and put on a leash. That is what in their minds and hearts must know her place and follow behind the man. Lay up under the man. That was why Lilith left Adam. Because he was cuckoo like that. Let me get to what I wrote down, beloved, because this is some very powerful information and a lot more things are going to come up with it. And so this is going to be a video – that is going to have some length to it. But I guarantee you the length will match the width and the depth of it, okay? So get ready to expand your conscious awareness, beloveds. And feel free. My eye is doing this thing. Feel free to stop this. Be careful of the clock so you know where you stopped it at and you can start back. And I'm thinking, because mine does it for me, on certain videos when I have to stop it or I'm interrupted and I need to come back, YouTube shows me or begins where I left off. So understand your options that you have available to you, beloveds, because this is information. It's a lot to take in all at once, okay? But here we go. And when I say this is a lot of information to be taken in at once, understands that it is coming from millennials. It is coming through many wombs to get to you. It is coming through many broken women to get to you. Women who are beaten and accused of being witches and all kinds of things. Okay? Understand where this is coming from. Understand, like I said, this kind of control, that gray hair, this kind of control of a woman's body is natural to a woman. Women that were way back in the hunter-gatherer societies understood when they got pregnant and it was not the right time for that pregnancy. They took medicinal herbs and had different procedures. Women took care of women where that child no longer existed, where that child was aborted, where that pregnancy was terminated. When certain situations got out of hand and that woman needed to be protected, her spirit and her body and everything else needed to be protected. And there was a pregnancy that occurred. There were women in that community that knew how to take care of her and help her if she did not choose to bring that life into fruition. It was her choice. It was done upon omens, divination, prayer, cycles and seasons that were going on. It was done through spiritual means, spiritual higher instinct and intuition, understanding that energy cannot be interrupted. Understanding that certain things will produce certain kinds of energy that's best not to enter into this awareness at this time. Just like it was prophesied about a Messiah going to be born, because all of this was taking place. All of this was taking place. What does that mean, Valerie? That means slavery was happening. That means women were being raped. That means women from other tribes and clans and everything else were being forced to have these other tribes and clans and societies' children. You have to understand where all of this prejudice comes from, the prejudging. You have to understand why incarnated spirits are now being harvested as hosts, because certain entities are no longer able to penetrate awakening higher frequencies of conscious beings that are giving birth. They need that lower suffering individual to be born in through, to be brought into the awareness, to attach to. I hope this isn't going over so many of your heads, and I know it's not. I know it's not, because the signs of the times. What do I mean by the signs of the times? Baby, every time I have noticed, especially with this entity and attachment attached to 45, the amount of babies that begin to suffer around his watch increases. When he became president, I want you to look at how many babies were being raped, how many babies were being murdered, how much abuse was happening to children. I want you to look at the number of kidnappings and what is it called? Trafficking and sex trafficking that was happening. I want you to understand and put these things together, because they go together as one, beloveds. Existence needs existence to exist. Okay? If suffering is a type of existence that has an attachment to it, that is fed from the suffering, from the misery, from the pain of human beings, then guess what? You need a system in place that is going to do what? Reproduce that suffering, so that what is fed from that can be fed. It can consume. And when you have a spirit that is reaching a certain frequency where it is no longer afraid, and it no longer is affected by the mental voices, feelings, thoughts that lead it into suffering and that keep it into suffering. When that phase is past, that being becomes a threat to the system that feeds off of that. And those beings have been targeted as those are your martyrs, those are your witches, those are your bitches, those are your homeless ones, those are the ones who are weird, those are the ones who are crazy, those are the ones, don't listen to them. Those are the ones that they say, oh, they're they out there. Why? Because they can tell you where that suffering leads to. They can tell you what's behind that suffering. They can tell you what's in that suffering. They can tell you how to observe that suffering because they have sat there in their own conscious awareness, in their own higher self, and observed themselves going through the chaos. And they have watched the chaos going through everybody else. What I'm about to share with you, beloveds, is very powerful. I woke up writing this down this morning, and when I got online, I noticed that a lot of my younger female family was very agitated by what is going on. As an empath and as a divine feminine high priestess voice and vessel, I cannot sit quiet and act like I don't see, and I don't feel, and I don't know. All I can do is use my voice. And that is a woman's voice. That is a voice of the womb. That is a universal voice. That is one verse, one voice, baby. Unconditional love. Okay? I want to take the I out of this because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to that too. And it is the human and the humane essence within me that is rattled, that is being touched once again, that is being molested, that is being raped, that is being looked at in a way that makes me uncomfortable because I know what that look means. Let me get to what I have, beloveds, because like I said, this goes so deep, and I can tell because, like I said, the left side of my whole body is just doing its own thing. Removing the whitewashed lies of his story, brick by brick, until there is nothing left but the truth. Number one, and there are 5 points of conversation that are going to be made. Number one, the emperor has no clothes. His fortress of solitude is full of entities and attachments of lies and discontent. His kingdom is an illusion. He is the man behind the curtain, the 3-card Monte hustler, hype man, shit stirrer, narcissistic, immature, tantrum-prone crybaby who has never been told no. And what do I mean by has never been told no? That means he is one of privilege. He knows himself to be one of privilege. He sees himself as being above others who can be told no. He feels that he is the one that can say no, but no one can say no to him. And just because I'm using the masculine adjectives and pronouns, him and I mean him, her, it, she, they, we, whatever. Okay? However that rolls. But right now it is what it is, and it's coming off in this masculine, because this masculine essence is the majority that is issuing edicts, stirring the shit pot, and needs to be observed, and needs to be checked, and needs to be changed, because he is no longer operating in a humane spirit. He is now beastly. Let me continue. And he will lie, cheat, and steal, and kill to have his way and keep his emperor position. His only fear, losing his position and the so-called authority that comes with it. Because if people did not fear him, if he was not able to stoke, stir, and keep fear in people of him and his position and what he can do to them, what would happen, beloveds? What would happen? What would happen to Putin? What would happen to Trump? What would happen to the Republican Party? What would happen to Christianity as we know it today? This version that we have today with all these splintered, all of this and all of that. What would happen if the people that were governed and followed and led like lambs and sheep to the slaughter, what would happen if they no longer feared this kind of shepherd? His only fear, losing his position, and the so-called authority that comes with it, because if people did not fear him, at his core, he is insignificant, weak, and unremarkable in every way. Thus, he is and remains the emperor with no clothes, followed by his loyal breadcrumb eating crew that will always attest to how good he looks in his new shiny, fly, fresh suit of clothes. Clothes that are human skins adorned in bleeding scalps from his latest coup. So when you hear about Shark Fest, when you hear about colonizing, when you hear about company corporate takeovers, when you hear about one religion sacking another religion's temple and taking over and this and this and this and that. Understand what's at the core. There's always this little naked ass emperor that's never been told no, that thinks you're a god and you're a descendant of God, and everybody should obey you and bow down and kiss your pinky ring. Okay? And that's putting it nicely, because the nasty me wants to say something else, but I'm going to keep this video as PG as I can. I don't have to go into the R-rated version of this, because you know exactly what I'm speaking of. When I said there will always be a breadcrumb eating crew, that means there will always be boot kissers, ass lickers. There will always be someone who profits and benefits from his nakedness, from his ruthlessness, from his brutality, from his force, from his frequency, from his domination, from his mastery over others. They will always benefit from it. And as long as they are benefiting from it, they will support this being, this naked, shriveled up little weak ass being, simply because this being is in a position that is traditionally told to them is Lord and Master, because they were born into this, or because they did this, this, and that to receive this. They took it from another, or it was taken from another and passed down to them, and they're the last generation to get it, and they think they should hold that spot simply because they great took it from someone else. This again is, let me just keep going. That was number 1. The emperor has no clothes. His fortress of solitude is full of entities and attachments of lies and discontent. His kingdom is an illusion. He is the man behind the curtain. When I say that, I mean just like in The Wizard of Oz. If you really truly understand the story, and you truly understand that this man, this wizard, came from one existence, went into another conscious awareness existence, and used tricks and illusions to become the great wizard, the grand wizard, over the witches, over everybody, with his what? With his tricks, with his lies, with his schemes, and with his judgment. Remember, he pronounced judgment in the land of Oz. If you had a problem, the wizard judged your problem. Just like people came to Solomon because he was the most wise. People came to these God-appointed judges that I spoke of in the Bible because they were the diviners. They could see the unseen. They could discern with wisdom, instinct, and intuition. Not who had the highest coin, who was going to rub my back better, and who was going to pay me off, who was going to do this and do that for me. No, it didn't work like that. Number 2, Rome did not fall in a day, just as it was not built in a day. Study the polarities. Observe the materials and ingredients of the bricks. How was Rome built? Through the colonization process. What was the colonization process? How was what Rome did different from what England did to the United States with the Native Americans here? How is it different? Time periods. How was what happened to Samaria, Babylon, Israel, the Caucasus Mountains, Asia, India? How is any of that different? I want you to understand these are the same essences, these are the same attachments, these are the same entities, these are the same frequencies. Okay? The people, the generations, the world itself may change. But these frequencies and what they feed off of does not. Understand what is being shown to you. In order to understand what is being shown to you, you first have to know who you are and what your value and worth is in all of this so that you can make the right kind of discernment of what side or no side if you should speak out or if you should remain quiet. And if you speaking out, if that helps now, or if that's going to help 5, 10 generations from now. Observe the materials and ingredients of these bricks that built the Roman system, that built the patriarchal system, because it is the patriarchal system that is ruling this world. It's a man's world. That's what that means. This is a patriarchal system. It was systematically designed brick by brick to support and sustain its judgment. Okay? And it has systematically gone about destroying the divine feminine, the communication, the language, the knowledge, the healing abilities, the instinct and the intuition by the suffering. Okay? Overriding your instincts and intuition because of the damn suffering. Because you watching your babies suffer. You watching your husband suffer. You watching your mother and father suffer. You watching everybody that look like you suffer. And you suffer in that. Brick by brick, they try to break you down. Why? Because you a divine temple, baby. You a brick house. You a divine brick house. You a divine temple. What's the measurements? 36, 24, 36. See how they done mapped it out? Observe the slow Observe the materials and ingredients of the bricks. Observe the foundations that were the spoils of war. Observe, remember I spoke about when these beings would conquer another being's kingdom. What's the first thing they would do? They would go after the women and children. They would either kill the children or enslave them. The women, same thing. But they would rape them and impregnate them. If they were higher up, if they were considered of high class, or if they had married kings or given birth to kings or were only for the king's pleasure, then they held a certain distinction from other women. These women that bore the children of this class division, beloveds. It's a caste system. It's a systematic debasement. Observe the slow creeping blight of the erasure of culture with the replacement of a class system of master, servant, and slave. Understand what was once a matriarchal society and how it became a patriarchal society, brick by brick. Okay? And then those bricks got to be placed in a caste system. This is a master brick. This brick serves the master brick. And this brick, this is the least value because it's of slave material. It has no value other than to work itself to death, and that's it. The servant can at least free itself, pay off its debts and prove itself and all that good stuff. And it may even become a master. That class system on a current global scale, and you will begin to expose the ancient galactic powers and principalities that wage war on the final frontier. What does that mean? You hear so many people saying, oh, I'm a light worker. I'm a star seed. I'm a this and a that and a that and a this and a that and a this and a this and a that. And that and a this and a that. Okay. But you're still on Earth. Okay. And you're still governed by universal law. And there's still an origin and an original story that you are part of, or you would not be here. Each of us is fulfilling. Each of us is fulfilling a narrative, an ancient narrative, the one verse narrative that's in a sound or frequency that we couldn't recognize or remember now if we wanted to. We're getting there, but we got a ways to go yet. These star seeds are what are the bricks that built the stories from which architecture, from which alchemy, from which medicine, from which reproductive knowledge and knowledge of self comes from. Regardless of what portion of it is told, by whom, in what age and in what state, from what gender, it all comes down to one. And that is spiritual. That is recognizing that spiritual essence as the highest form of knowing thyself. And not the senses, and not the physical, not the lusts, not the desires, not the want, not the mind. It all comes down to that. It is the hardest thing for a human being to recognize itself as a spiritual being. Why? Because of the bricks and the foundations that were used to teach it. Where does that start? From the womb. The shedding of the womb cells, the womb preparing sacred space, the womb clearing itself, detoxing itself, the womb having the ability to, a child doesn't even reach the womb. That woman can be pregnant in her tubes. Abortion, miscarriage. Man is not the final say. It is not his story. Why? Because it is not his body. It is spirit. And when you take over dominion of another spirit, that's called possession. Let me keep going. I need to drink me some water on that one, because that got my eye popping for real. Boy, I'm telling you. Aromatherapy. I need it. Okay. And you will begin to expose. Wait a minute. Observe the slow creeping blight of the erasure of culture. Once you begin to see how what has been is being systematically removed, and what is replacing that, and what is replacing it is of less value, but you are being told it's being hyped. Civilization. This is the language. This is the culture. This is the trend. This is what you should strive to be. Everything else that you have is ancient and archaic and crazy. Because it's what? It's based on nature? Oh no. No. You must base everything upon logic and philosophy and what man's hand can create. That's God. You can't deal in this unseen realm. That's unscientific. What's wrong with you? Peoples, you're savages. You must be retaught how to be human. Everything you have must be whitewashed so you can blend in. Observe the slow creeping blight of the erasure of culture. And you know, when they erase the culture, they erase the language. They erase the signs and the symbols and the seasons. And they convert you to their new system. With the replacement of a class system of master, servant, and slave, it's no more tribe. We're all one. You know, we have a chief or a leader or an elder that guides us. No. Whoever got the most this and that, that's who's in charge. And you have to make sure that they keep their this and that. So you work and you serve them. Identity that class system on a current global scale. Identify that class system. Where on this earth is there not a class system? Rich, poor, middle class, white, bright, damn near light, dark, blah, 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 blah. Where? And you will begin to expose the ancient galactic powers and principalities that wage war on the final frontier, the planet Earth. So all of this, the stories of Tiamat, the stories of the planets, the stories of the gods, Zeus and Yahweh and blah, 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 and la, 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 and do, and dee, and da, da, da. All of that has come to a galactic head by seeding the earth with these philosophies, these bricks. And whoever is building the bricks and ruling the kingdom and the foundations through their powers and principalities, their attachments and entities, this is what the war is against. The human shedding these entities and attachments to the entities. And when I say attachments, I mean addictions to the entities, to being a servant to the entities, being so masochistic to the sadistic leadership of the system rather than your own natural system. Even recognizing the solar and the lunar influences upon the womb, upon the hormones, upon the instincts and intuition of women and young girls and men who are aware of the divine feminine within themselves, who are comfortable and at peace with that. And it doesn't cause conflict or doubt within them because they are secure in being a divine vessel. And that voice of the divine feminine, being the guiding force within them. And you will begin to expose the ancient galactic powers and principalities that wage war on the final frontier, the planet Earth, where the reincarnation is the self-fulfilling purification method woven into the original womb design. That is Kali. That is Durga on that tiger, okay? Battling that demon. That is so many other divine feminine goddesses that must be put into play in order to bring an end to the yuga, to the age. Because she births it. How did I say? She brought it here, she can take it away. It's the age. It is the self-fulfilling. Wait a minute. And you will begin to expose the ancient galactic powers and principalities that wage war on the final frontier, the planet Earth, where reincarnation is the self-fulfilling purification method woven into the original womb design. That is so freaking deep that is just going, it's doing this thing. Where reincarnation is the self-fulfilling purification method woven into the original womb design. Period. Okay? Period. Black holes. Most fertile. When you have a dark age, what has to come out of it? A lighter age. A newer age is born. What comes after the night, the darkness? The dawn, baby. When it says vengeance is the Lord's, what does that mean? It's all unfolding. Wheels within wheels within wheels within wheels. The time is your illusion. The multiverses is your illusion. The reincarnations is your illusion. In a blink of an eye, everything happens. Boom, boom. You are just now getting it like it's been light years happening. How many years did it take for you to become Cro-Magnon man to Homo sapien to Homo noeticus to Homo spiritus? How many centuries? How many years? How many cycles and revolutions? And how many planets had to die and suns had to be born and die to come through this wormhole and be pushed through that one? to give birth to you here. For you to do what? Come to the same conclusion. Your what? Your spirit. Your conscious awareness brings you to this conclusion. Only if it's expansive. Only if you're able to grow. Only if you're open. Only if you are not addicted and attached to the past and what is in the past, because those things are not eternal and they are not promised to you. That is not what's promised to you. Number 3, you dominate and control the womb. You still control the class of actors in your narrative. That only begins to change when your numbers of reproduction stop adding up to keep you in the majority of strength by numbers regardless of time, cycles, and seasons, and the universal laws of change. Thus your whitewashed bricks are disintegrated, and soon the man behind the curtain will be revealed as the naked Wizard of Oz, the keeper and hero of his story, aka the never-ending story, proving once again it is not so much the story that changes in the end, but the narrator's conscious awareness of the expanded telling and seeing the unseen amidst the most peaceful and or chaotic times. Valerie, what the hell is she talking about? You dominate and control the womb. Who is this you? The you has to be a self that is identified as a collective, right? I'm about to get deep. So if you need to pause it for a minute and come back to it fresh, do your thing, baby. Do your thing, because, like I said, it's about to get deep up in here. And if you're not used to depth, best I can do is tell you stick your pinky toe in and get comfortable, okay? Who is this you that's dominating and controlling the womb and still in control of the caste and the class system that is the womb? The earth is the womb. Who is the you that is still in control of the actors in the collective's narrative? The individual you and the collective you's narrative. Who is that? That's a self. That only begins to change when your numbers of reproduction stop adding up to keep you in the majority of strength by numbers regardless of time, cycles and seasons, and the universal laws of change, thus turning your whitewashed bricks are disintegrating. That means, very simply, beloveds, once again, we come down to that Cherokee legend of the two wolves. the two selves within, the true self. And you observe both of these wolves. The true self observes both of these wolves. But depending on which voice the true self communicates to, through, and with, that's the one that has the power. That's the one that is able to manifest and maintain things in the world of form. Through form. Not the mind. But the will. The heart, the spiritual will. So, when that collective that has formed, that has manifested this system that we currently live in, under, on, through, however you choose to, go with that. You have to realize, a lot of people want to call it the Matrix. That's its own narrative in that. Symbolisms, the rabbit, so forth. Morpheus, the god of sleep. Neo, the one. Trinity, the three in one. It's all given to us, beloved. The cast, when the two wolves have been so, their spirit authority has been able to expand to the point where the other's voice is so low that it can't be heard, that's when things change. Because there's a new system being born. There's something new taking place. The old is no longer relative. It is what? Fading away. And as it is fading away, it is being replaced. So, as you see these things occurring through these different systems, observe. Observe what they want to replace things with. That'll tell you if that's the system for you or not. Look for the spiritual integrity of what they're trying to replace, what they're taking away with. You dominate and control the womb. You still control the cast class of actors in your narrative. That only begins to change when your numbers of reproduction stop adding up to keep you in the majority of strength by numbers regardless of time cycles and seasons. In other words, how many presidential candidates have there been? How many presidents have there been? how many Democrats and Republicans have served, how many of them, both of them serve the same system, just different aspects of that system. It is not the aspects that need to change. It is the system itself. That system has served. It can no longer serve this newer generation that's here and that's coming through this conscious, expanding conscious, spiritual conscious awareness. It must change. Understand and understand what you're bearing witness to, what you are a part of, because you are of the collective. This you. You are that you. You. Female, sheep, lamb. You. Your higher self is the shepherd of you. What are you doing? The majority, the numbers matter. The numbers matter. How many bricks you have matters to the system that you are able to build and hold. If you build your system with only physical, then physical will come and claim it. What is of the earth is it stays on the earth. It is earthly. It's born and it dies. Has value and then that value changes. What is spiritual does not change. What is spiritual and governed by spiritual laws does not change, is immutable, is fixed, is finite. You have to come and become a collective that is the majority collective that seeds change, spiritual change, that seeds spiritual change, that makes your bricks from spiritual material. Universal laws make up your bricks that you build your system with. Point blank, period. This lesser must fall. It must crumble. It will crumble. And if you're standing next to it or around it or trying to support it, you're going to get smashed. It's funny how that word smashed is being used now. Or is it? And the universal laws change. Thus, your whitewashed bricks are disintegrating. And soon the man behind the curtain will be revealed as the naked Wizard of Oz, the keeper and hero of his own, his story, aka the never-ending story. The never-ending story. How did we begin this? What was the story we were talking about? The emperor has no clothes. His fortress of solitude is full of entities and attachments of lies and discontent. His kingdom is an illusion. He is the man behind the curtain, the three-card Monte hustler, hype man, shit stirrer, narcissistic, immature, tantrum-prone crybaby who has never been told no and will lie, cheat, steal, and kill to have his way. Cain. And keep his emperor position. His only fear, Cain, Nimrod, his only fear, losing his position. And so the so-called authority that comes with it. Because if people did not fear him, at his core, he is insignificant, weak, and unremarkable in every way. Why? Because self-hate. Why? Because he needs to create a mask in order to operate. He needs another personality. He needs his mind. His mind can only come up with a replication of what it assumes his spirit is. Deep. Like I said, it's deep, baby. Thus he is that weak and unremarkable in every way. Thus he is and remains the emperor with no clothes, followed by his loyal breadcrumb eating crew that will always attest to how good he looks in his new shiny fly suit of clothes, human skins adorned and bleeding scalps from his latest coup. And beloveds, when I just read that, the Fifth Element popped into my head with Chris Tucker and his entourage. Green, green, totally green. Oh, it's green. It's green. Rome did not fall in a day, just as it was not built in a day. Study the polarities, observe the materials and ingredients of the bricks. Observe the foundations that were the spoils of war. Observe the foundations that were the spoils of war. When land is your focus for extending kingdoms or extending property or extending your value or extending your numbers, when you are using land, the earth, and you're making new boundaries and borders that mark possession and ownership and laws and rules of a certain lordship or kingship or divinity or government. Observe the foundations that were there originally. And observe what happened when that land was taken over, when it was built upon, those mounds upon mounds upon mounds, those temples, the sacred ground. What was done with the sacred ground? What was done with the sacred waters? What was done with that when that was reclaimed or captured or conquered? Observe the foundations that were the spoils of war. The women, the custom of those women. What was their childbirthing rituals? What were their women lunar cycle? What were their rituals? What were their ceremonies? How did they identify themselves before they were conquered? Before another system penetrated them and impregnated them with their ways. And they produced a child through that. And then that just keeps growing and spreading and spreading. Observe the slow creeping blight of the erasure of culture with the replacement of a class system. Rome did not fall in a day, just as it was not built in a day. And if you look at things, you realize Rome has not fallen, beloved. It's just been regulated to a little Vatican area, and that area still runs things, and even other powers and principalities still come and deal with that as of the Nicene Creed thing. And all of them that gathered at this Nicene Creed thing, what did they declare? What did they declare, beloveds? They came up with their brand of Christianity. They came up with their own canon of what books could be, books and passages could be included. What could be shaped and molded to support their narrative, his story, his stories. Those who would not support his stories were murdered, killed, butchered, drowned, raped, tortured, and their possessions, the bricks that they had, were taken. You dominate and control the womb. You still control the cast of actors in your narrative. That only begins to change when your numbers of reproduction stop adding up to keep you in the majority of strength by numbers regardless of time, cycles, and seasons and the universal laws of change. Thus, your whitewashed bricks are disintegrating, and soon the man behind the curtain will be revealed as the naked Wizard of Oz. When you have a Weinstein, when you have a Bill Cosby, when you have an R. Kelly, when you have an Epstein, when you have presidents, when you have popes that have to be removed, them bricks is disintegrating. Those numbers aren't what they used to be. The wars that you see is very strategic. It is to get the wombs back in check. Because it is the wombs that represent the spirit, the unseen creative force, the blood of the earth, the nature of mother. Okay? Understand why men want to dominate and control every facet of a female's evolution. Understand why child molestation takes place. Because if you do what? If you mess up her ability to identify with herself spiritually, if you interfere, if you intercept her from getting those kind of downloads where she don't trust them because she don't value herself, she can't form a bond with Mother Nature because she's too fragmented. Too many soul parts have been taken. Oh, you can do what you want then. You can do what you want to the earth. When you can do what you want to women, when you can do what you want to little girls, you can do what you want to nature. You can do what you want to this earth. You can do what you want to black holes up in the sky. Or so you think. Because, once again, that's that aspect of you that's never been told no. Well, I'm here to tell you, there's another aspect of you that's going to put that aspect, bring it up to date. It's going to tell it no. It's time for you to learn about no now, beloved. I know. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I know. You're going to kick and cry and hold your breath and turn blue, green, yellow, and orange. I know. Oh, you about to put mama through hell and high water. Oh, baby, I know. But, come on. Grow your ass up. Come on. Because I got some cycles and seasons for you, baby, that's going to help you get through that. And it's going to be karmic. Because all that shit that you did, when you were saying, yes, my way, yes. And everybody else was saying, no, please, no. Now your ass going to have to see what's that's about in order for you to grow. That's the suffering you called upon yourself. I need you to tell me no so that I can grow. Okay. Oh, that's what you need, babe. Okay. The universe is finna give it to you now. Polarity. Paradox. Divine feminine. Unconditional love is about to set you straight. Four, the recognition of spirit, the identification of its presence, existent frequencies, and spectrum. Its cycles and seasons of revelations, removing the veils, blinders, blocks, so the truth can no longer be denied as the king of the beasts. What did you just say, Valerie? The truth is the lion. The lion. The lion of Judah? Whatever you want. The lion, baby. The lion in the closet and in the chamber. The damn lion, okay? The king of the beasts, okay? The cat. Mustafa Scott. Symbol. Okay? Okay. Oh my God. Rafiki. Remember? Yeah. Right upside the head. The recognition of spirit, the identification of its presence, existence, frequencies, and spectrums. Wow. All of that in the circle of life and in the Lion King. And the Lion King is the truth. And that the truth collective, that which wolf do you feed? You know, they got lions in circus, but I never seen wolves in circus. The recognition of spirit. See, if you go by somebody what they look like, baby, you can misjudge them all day long. All day long. All day and all night long. But if you close your eyes and you feel them and see them and communicate with them spiritually, instinctively, your first instinct will tell you. Sometimes understand that you are the vessel that things work through, things connect with, that you help many things get their wings and find their way home. And all the while this is going on, you're also learning. Nobody knows everything. If they did, what the hell would you need faith for? Put not your faith in men. Put not your faith in the appearance of what is manifested by men. Because I'm here to tell you there's something greater. And it's called spirit. And it cannot be seen with the eye. It can be observed. But it can't be seen. It can be discerned. But it can't be seen. The recognition of spirit, the identification of its presence, existence, frequencies, and spectrums, its cycles and seasons of revelations, removing the veils, blinders, blocks, so the truth can no longer be denied as the king of the beasts, the most vicious and the most virtuous. Did you hear that? In order to be king of the beasts, you have to be the most vicious and the most virtuous, all at the same time. That requires some discernment and some judgment on your part. When your viciousness is actual virtualness. Not everybody is going to understand. because they're going to take things, what? Personal. They're going to discern only with their egos, only with their personalities, only with the illusions and the masks that they wear and that they have to maintain. But those who are of your collective, namaste. Spirit recognizes spirit. Spirit tests spirit by spirit. It's very simple. The most vicious and the most virtuous. And you see those Kung Fu masters, when you see them imitating the beast's way of fight, style of fighting and being and knowing themselves, the most vicious and the most virtuous. It's one and the same, it's one coin. There is no mind in it, only spirit. Thus fulfilling universal laws, even of polarity and paradox. How can God do this? God did this to me. God did it. The most vicious and the most virtuous. Birth, death, and rebirth. The womb. The blood. The way of it is eternal, is immortal, is spiritual, is replicated in everything seen and unseen. 5. Building bricks from the truth, building upon a truthful foundation, establishing educational systems and governmental systems and institutions based upon universal laws of navigating the seen and the unseen realities of existence in all their forms, frequencies, and spectrums through the lens of unconditional love being the center focal point or womb of creation. Baby, that's what we got to strive for. That's the collective. That's the individual and the collective. That's the polarity and the paradox. That's the numbers. Those are the true bricklayers and brick formers and brick masons and brick masters and architects of a system that is yet to be born. It first has to be what? Conceived, baby. It's got to be conceived. The earth is a womb. Once you conceive it, guess what she will do? She will produce it. She will deliver it abundantly, eternally, self-supporting. What do you have to do? Build your bricks from the truth. Building upon a truthful foundation, not man-made, original, galactic foundation. One not better than the other. Diverse. Different abilities, different appearances, different values, different versions, different visions, all coming to one focal point, one womb. In an agreed upon way, not forced, not taken, but given. Establishing educational systems. So the first bricks that we get must be used to establish educational foundations and systems. Those foundations produce the systems. What does that mean, Valerie? It means that we have to re-educate our education system. We have to revamp it so that when the babies are learning geometry, they're learning to connect that geometry to the unseen and the seen, the within and the without, the above and the below, all at the same time. Don't think these babies can't grasp it, because they can. Educate them on their spirits. Educate them on the unseen and how the unseen influences the seen in the spectrum and frequency of unlimited ways, vast ways, known and unknown, all existing at the same time. These are the universal laws of navigation that these systems have to be based upon. The quantum physics, the metaverses, the metaphysical, the literal, the biological, the psychological, the sensory, and the self that observes it all. This is the eye. This is the lens of unconditional love, being the focal point, being the scope, the unlimited scope that gives you unlimited range, that gives you unlimited perception. There are no more blind spots because there is no more conditions to what you can see. And once you have that, you bring that, once you have cultivated that and developed that and honed that and perfected that ability, you bring that in as the focal point of the womb, as the womb, knowing that everything comes from that. What is that? Unconditional love. Everything must come from unconditional love and radiate outward. and grow like seeds, come from the ocean, and come down from this, radiate from the sun and the moon. Everything is connected. Everything communicates with unconditional love. No more war. Even when you have all of these feelings and thoughts, your higher self says it's okay. It's okay to think like that, but we know this is the reality. You're just using your imagination. It's okay. You don't have to act upon that. And you have the communication and ability for others to sense and see you, because you're now naked. You're really, truly naked, not like the naked emperor, but truly, truly open. Heart to heart. Throat chakra to throat chakra. You exchange truth. You consume and you feed truth. Those are your bricks. And your bricks lead you to the way home that you had in you all along, that you never needed a wizard for. Okay? But that wizard will insert himself if you allow his voice to be the majority, to be the dominant. And he will wreak havoc. Rein him back in. No. Get him used to hearing no. Get him used to that. As a child, I was used to hearing my mama tell me no. It was not a surprise when my mama said no. After the first few, I was a high-spirited child. After the first couple of times of throwing tantrums, getting my little butt whooped, and still being told no. Oh, you want to show out in public? Right in public. Okay, that one didn't work. I'm studying scrambling how to get what I want. Okay, my daddy with me in the store this time. I want this. She walks away. Look back at him. He looked down at me and he followed her. No, Valerie. No means no. How many? If I had a quarter for every time I heard no means no, baby. How many of your children understand when you tell them no nowadays? See, these the bricks I'm talking about, the bricks of truth. Your child needs to understand what no means. You need to be able to communicate to your child, no. The world is not going to say, here you go, baby, every time you want something. Learn, no. Learn to deal with the feelings, the anger, the rage, the whatever that comes up when the word no is told to you. Being able to accept no is a sign of maturity. Not being able to accept the word no is to believe that your wants, needs, values, whatever, is more important than everybody else's. And that's narcissistic. And those are the bricks that that are disintegrating. Those narcissistic bricks, they're being disintegrated by the truth. They're being shot up with the truth. No. No, it's not like that. No, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. No, that's cheating. No, it didn't happen that way. No. Well, let me just put the head. No. No. No means no. Removing the whitewashed lies of his story, brick by brick, until there's nothing left but the truth. And that is going to do it for me, beloveds. Namaste. Thank you. And like my channel and subscribe to my channel and send it to some more people. And beloveds, I want to start learning how to do these live shows and having more discussions. So if you know somebody's show that you would like me to be on, introduce me to them and tell them to, hey, go get Mother Wit on your show. Hey, you go be on Mother Wit's show. Y'all hook it up and describe this and make a table and bless us with the wisdom and discussion and communication and understanding. Now I'm a peaceful warrior now, beloved. So I ain't with no mess. And I'll tell you no in a heartbeat if the energy exchange ain't right. So take it how you choose to. Deal with it how you choose to. But if it don't feel right for me, myself, I'm saying no. And I'm doing that with unconditional love for us both. Whether you can see it that way, receive it that way or not, that's on you. Whole.